If you've ever set photography goals on January 1st only to completely abandon them by March, this video aims to change that. Most people fail at their yearly goals not because they lack the motivation or talent, but because they are planning like they have endless time and zero responsibilities. Today I'm sharing the 3-zone method, a planning framework that actually works when you have a full-time job, a life outside photography, and zero interest in burning out before February. I'm Cesar, balancing product management with photography. I know the struggle of finding time for creative work. In this channel, I share systems and workflows that actually work for busy professionals. So, zone 1 is skills. Focus on one thing per quarter. This is where most people actually sabotage themselves immediately. They want to learn everything. Portrait lighting, landscape composition, street photography candid, studio strobes, off-camera flash, color grading, black and white processing, the list goes on forever. And because they're trying to learn everything simultaneously, they end up not actually getting good at anything. So here's the rule for zone 1. Pick one skill or technique to focus on per quarter, just one. That means in an entire year, you're deeply learning 4 things, not 40, 4. And why does this work? Well, because of something researchers call deliberate practice. A study published in the Psychological Review by Anders Ericsson found that expertise doesn't come from dabbling in many things, but from focus, intentional repetition in specific areas. When you concentrate your limited practice on one skill, you actually become more competent. When you scatter it across 10 skills, then you stay perpetually average at all of them. So let's start with a practical example. Let's say that in Q1 2026, your zone 1 focus is mastering natural light portraits. That's it. For 3 months, every time you shoot, you're thinking about light direction, quality, and how it shapes faces. You're not also trying to learn astrophotography or product photography or anything else, it's just natural light portraits. If you follow this, by April, you'll actually be noticeably better at reading light. You will also position subjects differently. You will have developed that actual skill and not surface level familiarity with 20 different techniques. Then in quarter 2, maybe you focus on composition and framing. Quarter 3 could be color grading and post-production. Quarter 4 may be learning off-camera flash. You get the point. 4 focused skills, 4 real improvements. And because you're only committing to one at a time, it's actually achievable when you're working full-time. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep it flexible, right? Because the important thing here is that you have one focus, but if due to a matter of urgency, or if you see a business opportunity, or if there is something else that pops up that you need to pivot, then this still should be an option. But focus is only one. After this, we can go to zone 2, which is projects. Choose the work that excites you. This is where you apply your creativity and not just your technical skills. And this is also where a lot of photographers fall into the trap of shooting what they think they should be shooting instead of what actually excites them. The rule for zone 2 is to pick one personal project per quarter that genuinely interests you. Not necessarily what's trending on Instagram and not what you think will get you more followers, but what you actually want to create. And this is very important because when photography becomes just another obligation, another box to check, another thing that you're supposed to do for the algorithm approval, then it stops being the thing that drew you into it in the first place. And of course, this is not only true for photography. When you're creating work that you actually care about, then you're naturally more engaged, more persistent, and more likely to push through the challenges. External validation is nice, but it's a terrible primary fuel source for creative work. And again, let's talk about how we put this into practice. Maybe in quarter 1 you want to document your local neighborhood in a photo essay. Not because necessarily it's gonna go viral, not because brands are looking for neighborhood content, but because you're curious about the stories in your own community and you want to tell them more visually. Or on the other hand, you may also decide in Q2 to create a series exploring different emotions or concepts through portraits. In quarter 3, it could be a 30-day challenge when you only shoot with one focal length to really understand that lens. And quarter 4, for example, might just be putting together a year-end photo book of your favorite images. What I did earlier this year as a test was to go one full month in the month of February only in black and white. You can see that project on my Instagram. The key is that these projects matter to you. They are not being driven by external validation. They are actually being driven by creative curiosity. And here's what's interesting. When you create work that's authentic to what you care about, it tends to resonate more anyway. People can sense when something is made with real intention versus what's actually chasing trends. One important note for those with a full-time job is that these projects need to be realistically scoped. A personal project doesn't mean that you need to shoot 100 images. So keep that in mind. It could be just 10, it could be 5. The goal is not really volume, the goal is actually intentional creative work that you actually complete. complete being the keyword here. And the third zone is growth. Set one tangible goal. This is where you think about expanding your reach, your income, or your opportunities. And just like the other zones, the rule is to have one focus per quarter. As an example, this could be audience growth, it could be income, it could be getting published or featured somewhere, it could be landing your first client or your 10th client. The key here is that it's specific, measurable, and actually matters to your version of growth. And why one goal? Well, because you're balancing photography with a career, so you have limited bandwidth for business development activities. If you try to simultaneously grow on 3 platforms, pitch to brands, sell prints, and network with other photographers, then you will do it all but poorly. But if you focus on one growth initiative per quarter, then you can actually make some progress. And the same as with the other ones, let's go through some examples. In quarter 1, for example, your goal in zone 3 may be just to reach 1,000 followers on Instagram. Not because follower count, as we said, is the ultimate measure of success, but because building an audience opens doors. You're focusing your limited marketing energy on one platform, learning how it works, and building a foundation. On quarter 2, it could be monetization. Maybe your goal is to book 3 paid shoots, or sell 5 prints, or land an affiliate partnership. Whatever fits your definition of growth, it's okay. You're not trying to do all of this at the same time. You're picking one and actually executing it. Quarter 3 could be about getting featured. Your goal could be to submit your work to 3 photography publications or contests, or collaborate with 2 other creators. Again, one focused growth activity. And quarter 4 could be launching something. Maybe you finally build that portfolio website, or you create a photography preset pack, or newsletter. One thing, but just done well. And here's what makes zone 3 different from zone 1 and 2. This zone often requires consistency and repetition within the quarter. It's not just one skill building or creative output. If your quarter 1 goal is growing to 1,000 followers, let's say, that might mean committing to posting twice a week, for example. If, on the other hand, it is booking clients, that might mean that you need to reach out to 5 potential clients every week. This connects to a concept called OKRs. I talked about it in some of my videos, so go check it out as well. And this is also where the system thinking from product management really helps. You're not just setting one goal. You're actually identifying the repeatable actions that lead to that goal, and then you're scheduling time for them. It's actually the difference between wishing for growth and engineering it. So let's put the 3-zone method together. Here's what your year looks like with the 3-zone method. Every quarter, you will have 3 clear focus areas. 1 skill to develop, 1 creative project to complete, and 1 growth goal to achieve. That's 12 focused commitments over the course of a year, instead of an overwhelming list of 50 vague aspirations. And here's the part that makes this actually work for people with full-time jobs. Because you're only focused on 3 things at a time, you can realistically schedule them. Maybe you dedicate 1 evening per week to practice your zone 1 skill, maybe you book Sunday mornings for your zone 2 project, and maybe you batch your zone 3 tasks into 1 focus session per week. The 3-zone method isn't about doing less because you're lazy, it's actually about doing less because you can actually do it well. It's about being strategic with limited time, and it's about designing a photography practice that actually fits your busy life instead of some imaginary version of your life when you have unlimited time. If you've ever felt guilty about not accomplishing your photography goals, drop a comment. I guarantee you're not alone, and I would love to hear what's been getting in your way. And if you're planning to try the 3-zone method in 2026, tell me in the comments what your Q1 zones are going to be. Putting it in writing actually makes it feel more real. Look, here's the reality. Some photography advice is written for people who do photography full-time or that have way more free time than you do. It's advice for a different life situation, and if you try to apply it to your life, you will end up feeling like you're failing, when really the advice was just never designed for you in the first place. The 3-zone method is different because it starts from the assumption that your time is actually limited and valuable, and it starts from the reality that photography is competing with your career, with your relationships, with your health, and everything else that matters. And instead of pretending that that's not true, it builds a planning system around it. When you focus on 1 skill per quarter, you actually get better instead of staying mediocre at everything. When you choose projects that actually interest you, you stay motivated instead of burning out on obligation. And when you pick 1 growth goal at a time, you make real progress instead of just spinning your wheels on 10 different half efforts. I cannot stress this enough. This is not about lowering your ambitions, it's about channeling them strategically. It's about setting yourself to actually succeed instead of setting yourself to feel bad every month. And it's about building a sustainable photography practice that can grow alongside your career and life and not in spite of them. As you're planning for 2026, ask yourself, what's the 1 skill you want to master in Q1? What is the project that excites you? And what is 1 goal milestone that will feel meaningful? Start there, build your year in 3 zones, and actually finish what you start for once. Okay, so now let's make it easy. I've created a 2026 photography planning template that breaks down the 3-zone method for all 4 quarters. It includes reflection prompts, goal setting worksheets, and a quarterly review system for you to keep track. You can grab it from the link in the description. It's completely free and it's designed for photographers who are balancing creative work with everything else that life throws at them. If this approach of planning resonated with you, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to show this video to other photographers who are also tired of setting goals they never accomplish. And subscribe if you want more systems and frameworks that actually work for busy creatives. I post about balancing product management with photography, and I share the exact workflows I use to make consistent progress instead of losing my mind. Thanks for watching, and here's to make 2026 your most focused and productive photography year yet. Bye!